the Charter may come up more, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, is the area of search and seizure. And there are a lot of misconceptions about that with respect to searching a student's locker or searching a student's backpack. There was a recent case where a Superior Court judge in Ontario, not too many months ago, found it was contrary to the Charter to do a test on everybody coming into a prom, like you do like a roadside test. That went beyond reasonableness. Certainly there's no question if it's you have a right, if you're a principal and somebody comes to a school dance or somebody wants to come to the prom and they're drunk, not to let them in. So, this is an issue. Again, search and seizure. One of the misconceptions, a major misconception is the standard under the criminal code. If you're a police officer, you have to have reasonable and probable grounds that somebody has committed an offense before you can arrest them without a warrant. In a school environment, it's simply reasonable suspicion. If I have reasonable suspicion, and that simply can be based on a student telling me as a teacher, or a student telling the principal that so-and-so has drugs in his locker, or so-and-so stole somebody's jacket and I saw him put it in the locker, or saw her put it in the locker. So that's all you need is reasonable suspicion, and you as a principal or vice principal and as an administrator, you have to make sure when you go to that locker to search that locker, you take somebody with you. So somebody can't say you put the stuff there. So you go to the locker, search the locker. If there's something there that's illegal, contrary to the code of conduct of the school, contrary to the code of conduct of the board, contrary to the Education Act, then I would call the police. If you involve the police when you're conducting a search, the standard is much higher under our law. So it's better, arguably, to find what you find, then call the police, and the police might arrest somebody for possession of drugs, because the standard is simply reasonable suspicion. And also students should understand, for example, if not teachers, that they don't own the computers at school, and the schools and board may have a policy that says we have the right from time to time to check your computer because they belong to us. And if inappropriate, and there was a case that went to the Supreme Court of Canada. What happened in the case of Regina and Cole just about 3 years ago this month was a case where a teacher had to have his computer looked at by a board technician. The board technician found child pornography on the computer. And the police were called. The police arrested the individual. He was convicted. It eventually went to the Supreme Court of Canada, who ordered a new trial. What happened was the principal had the right to look through the computer after this stuff was found, but the police searched the computer without a warrant. So the Supreme Court of Canada said there should have been a warrant. We're not going to exclude the evidence. We're going to order a new trial, which they did. I don't know whatever happened in that case ultimately. So there are specific rules, and certainly if I were a principal, I would meet with students every so often, advise parents that this is our expectations in terms of, and the other thing that I have found historically, which has been changed now under the Education Act, and one of the more recent regulations, I think it was 472 of 2007, but a relatively recent regulation, that you can be, you being a student or even a teacher or a principal, can be suspended as a student, or a teacher or a principal, or expelled, or terminated. Not only what you do on school property, but what you do off school property. So the idea or the thought, well, you can't suspend me because of something I put on the internet involving another student or bullying another student on the internet using a computer at my home, is ridiculous. That's not the law. And teachers and principals, just like many professionals, are, 24/7. You have to act, because if you don't act in a reasonable way, or don't act the way you're supposed to act, whatever that means, and there's a nexus between your behavior and your ability to teach or your ability to be a principal, then you could be terminated.